How's it going, everyone? My name is RJ and this is the Google Pixel 5. I have been waiting a very long time to get my hands on this device and it is finally here. You see, I have been an avid Pixel user ever since the original Google Pixel, and my love for Pixel devices has just grown throughout the years. There is a valid argument to be made that the Google Pixel 2 XL and the Google Pixel 4 were sort of a flop. So when I heard that Google was going back to their roots this year with the Pixel 5, I was ecstatic. There is no more fluff this year with the Pixel 5. Google got rid of Project Soli, there's no more squeeze for Assistant, and we finally have uniform bezels around the display. In many ways, the Google Pixel 5 is the best Pixel device ever made. But the Google Pixel 5 isn't perfect. And while I've only spent about 4 days with this device, I've already noticed some things that we need to discuss. The Pixel 5 still maintains the look and feel of a Pixel device. It's a remarkably simple and minimal device in terms of design, with a small hole punch front-facing camera and tiny bezels encompassing the display. On the back, there is a fingerprint sensor and a square camera module, packing a wide and an ultra-wide angle camera. So in many ways, it's still the same Google device we've all come to love and expect. There are, however, a few minor changes to point out. The Pixel 5 is made from recycled aluminum and it is also IP68 water resistant. The back of this device is what some people are calling cheap feeling. This back is a matte finish with slightly gritty soft touch textures. I personally think it's a very unique design. It's definitely not the most premium feeling smartphone ever, but it does feel unique to the touch, and this sage green color just looks magnificent. This color makes the chrome power button and the Google logo on the back stand out, letting everyone around you know that this phone was built by Google. Something else I really like about this design is the compact form factor. The Pixel 5 is certainly a tiny device and it's not for everyone. A lot of consumers have been asking for a bigger XL version of the Pixel 5, but for myself personally, I value convenience and portability over a bigger form factor. So this size is just fine for me. Let's take a second to talk about some issues for a second. I've noticed two things about this device that really bother me. First off, Google is marketing the Pixel 5 as having dual stereo speakers. Well, truth be told, this top speaker is essentially useless. To the best of my knowledge, Google placing a speaker under the display hasn't been done before. And while I do applaud the effort, this ain't it. The sound coming from the top speakers are hollow and very tinny. I barely use wireless earbuds. I always rely on my phone speakers when watching content and taking phone calls. So just be warned, if you do buy the Pixel 5, this phone has terrible sounding speakers. I mean, absolutely terrible. The second thing I noticed is rather strange. The Pixel 5 has weaker and worse sounding haptics than the Pixel 4a, which is kind of weird considering this is Google's top of the line Pixel device for 2020. It doesn't make sense for Google to change the haptic motors from the 4a to the Pixel 5. My friend Adam and I have some theories about this. Theory number one is Google is using a bigger 4000 mAh battery on a more smaller compact device. So the positioning of where Google placed the motors may not be ideal to give off a strong enough vibration. The second theory is that the Pixel 5 is built from aluminum. This may cause the vibrations to sound out of whack and weaker. Keep in mind, these are just theories, so who really knows what's up with the haptics on the Pixel 5? Quickly, before we do continue, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. That is absolutely insane. If you are enjoying my content and you want to stay tuned for my Pixel 5 review, then please do me a favor and leave a like on this video, and do consider subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. The Pixel 5 is rocking a 6-inch OLED display with a resolution of 1080 by 2340 for a PPI of 432. This display is pretty good. I wouldn't call this the best display on the market or even a display that's worthy of competing with Samsung flagships, but it's good enough to get the job done. Although I do find the display's brightness to be lacking in outdoor conditions. The display's peak brightness maxes out at 475 nits if you don't use adaptive brightness like I do. In comparison, the iPhone 11's brightness goes as high as 652 nits, and the Galaxy S20 OnlyFans edition goes as high as 679 nits. But if you do use adaptive brightness, this display can max out at 699 nits. Now, you might be asking, RJ, why don't you use adaptive brightness? Well, I personally don't use adaptive brightness on any phone. I just don't like the way it adapts to my surrounding environment. I always find the brightness to be either way too high or way too low. So the first thing that I do on any phone I use is turn off adaptive brightness. The Pixel 5 has an 86% screen to body ratio. It's not the highest number by any means, but it's good enough where the bezels don't intrude when consuming content, and the best part is, this is a 90Hz panel that does support HDR. I have been using the Pixel 5 caseless, and I've even placed it in my pockets with keys and coins, and so far there isn't a scratch on it. So the Gorilla Glass 6 is putting in work, but I don't recommend you guys trying this at home. I do though have to address an issue with the display. There have been multiple reports out there stating that there is a visible gap between the display and the body of the phone. Fortunately, I haven't noticed anything like that on my Pixel 5, but Google did come out and state that this is a normal part of your Pixel 5 and therefore not something to be concerned about. I highly doubt that this is a normal part of the design. If your device did come with this gap, I highly recommend you guys return the phone and get a new one. The Pixel 5 comes with 8GB of RAM and the mid-range Snapdragon 765G chipset. And I was honestly kind of concerned about the performance, but I do know Google runs stock Android and I've never had any performance issues with any Pixels in the past. So I'm happy to report that with the Pixel 5, this phone is as smooth as ever. You still get that stock Android experience, and you know that this is a Google phone with no bloatware, no extra unnecessary features, and overall just a very smooth phone. In an era where companies such as OnePlus are moving away from the stock Android experience, it's nice to see Google embrace stock Android and give users a taste of what Android is supposed to run like. If you do play a lot of games on your phone, there are definitely better options out there. I've tried playing Asphalt 9 on this device, and while the game is playable, it's a much smoother experience on the OnePlus 8 Pro, which actually has the power to max its 120Hz display all while running demanding titles. Battery life is a very interesting topic when it comes to the Pixel 5. Pixel phones have a reputation for struggling in the battery department. I've been using this phone for 5 days now, and I have to say this is the best battery life I've gotten out of a phone in 2020. The Pixel 5 is packing a 4080 mAh battery, and I believe the size of the battery combined with the compact form factor and Google software optimization is able to deliver stellar battery life. I kid you not, on a 4G network, I've been averaging close to 9.5 hours of screen on time. This is unheard of for a Pixel device, let alone any phone in 2020. This can easily be a 2-day battery device. I'm getting these screen on times with 90Hz refresh rate turned to always on. What also seems to be happening is the more that I use this phone, the adaptive battery system learns my habits and intelligently regulates power draw from my apps that I use the most. So as crazy as this sounds, the screen on time seems to be improving as the days go on. I have been super impressed with the battery life, and I hope Google is able to carry this forward in future Pixel devices. I have kept you guys waiting long enough. Let's talk about the cameras. The Pixel 5 features a dual lens camera system with a 12.2 megapixel primary camera and a 60 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. The telephoto of last year is gone, and this sucks for someone like myself who uses a telephoto more frequently than an ultra wide. But I do understand most people were begging Google for an ultra wide lens, and they did deliver. Using ordinary hardware and extraordinary software, Google is still able to deliver top-tier flagship quality pictures. Now, when you compare these images next to the iPhone 12 Pro, it's a pretty close-knit race. Keep in mind throughout this comparison, the Pixel 5 is $300 cheaper than the iPhone 12 Pro, and this camera comparison is just so close. But yeah, that has been a very long first impressions video. I wanted to keep it as short as possible, but there was so much to talk about. If you guys want to see my full review, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, and please do leave a like on this video. It helps me out a ton. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to flex with your tech.